Hi, yo, what's going on today, guys? Today, what I'm bringing to you is my personal journey, my personal tips and tricks to start making beats for the first time ever. Or even if you're in like those really beginner stages where like maybe you kind of know a little bit, but like it's still not working out. Like you still haven't made your first beat yet. So for anybody in that realm or anybody trying to discover anything like that, this video's for you. All right, so first up on my list for things to start with whenever you're learning to make beats, or maybe you just started, or again in that very beginner phase, is gonna be picking out which DAW you want to use. DAW is what it's called amongst the community. I don't know what that stands for at all, but there's a few of them out there. Of course, you have free options, and then you're gonna have paid option. My personal recommendation is always, if you're serious about making beats and this is something you want to do and you're interested in learning and like going full production with it, give or take, of course, there's levels to that. I would recommend paying for it. Some of the free options are really the only one that I know of. I'm sure there's more, so anybody in the comments, drop whatever other free options there are that you use and find that are beneficial. But the main one that I know is BandLab, and I haven't used it too terribly much. Wherever I used it in my process, it was really just like me recording vocals and then like pulling a beat off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really done too much production in there, but if anybody is interested, I know it offers some level of production, so there's an option. The other ones that are more full production are going to be things like Logic Pro, which I think is only for Mac, Ableton, FL Studio, and another free one I actually just heard about. I think it's called Flutter. It starts with an F. I'm not 100%, but there's a free DAW called F. I just got it in one of my emails like literally last night, so y'all can look that one up too. But yeah, so picking out that DAW, and I feel that generally all of them are pretty simple to use. I personally use FL. It's just kind of what I learned. It's, I know where the buttons are. I know how to do things on there. And that's what I figured out. And there's going to be other YouTube videos too, more in depth. Like, what are these buttons? What, like on FL, how do you get to the channel rack or the mixer, or like patterns, or like render things to audio, different things like that. There's videos out there on YouTube. That's exactly how I learned. I just watched a guy press buttons on a screen, and then I went back and tried to do it myself. So have no fear. I'm not gonna go too much in depth in any of that in this video. I'm just simply gonna take you through the processes that you need to do to get to having your first beat, right? Your first beat that you can be proud of, and yeah, going through that process. So again, number one, pick a DAW that you want to use, and let's move on to the next thing. All right, so number two on this list, it's kind of a mixture of a lot of things, not a lot of things, but a few things. Once you have your DAW, you're in there, you're working, I think the next step after that is to play around with what instruments they have and what plugins. Try to make melodies, try to put drums, just simply play around with the sound. Go crazy. Don't necessarily try to make it try to sound good, but don't hold yourself as high of a standard of like, yo, I'm finna open FL for the first time and like I'm finna make a banger. You're not. I know, I wish it was that way too. I'd be a lot further along if it was. But it's not, and it takes practice, and you gotta build those things brick by brick, melody by melody, drum by drum, mix by mix, one at a time, right? So go in, go play around, have fun, enjoy what you're doing. I used to have I had a great time. You can check some of my older YouTube shorts. Great time, bro. Just like laying like a violin melody down. I was like, call me Beethoven. Like, I was so lit, right? So play around, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to make anything perfect, but the idea is you're trying to learn, you're trying to get to that point of like, oh, I can do it. I understand. I see, you know, so but first play around, right? Secondly to the playing around, and what's going to develop your playing around even more is learning and understanding what bars are and BPM, beats per minute, right? So usually on, at least on FL, I'm not too sure about Ableton or anywhere else, but on FL, how they have it listed is I have like one section that's like, mine's like a light purple, one section that's a dark purple, another that's a light purple, dark purple, and it alternates, right? Each one of those is signifying, so 4 bar, one of those little sections is 4 bars, okay? And what a bar means is simply, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bar. So after that 4, it's a bar, right? And you hear them rap all the time, like, yeah, he went in there and like ripped like 32 bars, man, you know, straight just rapping. It's like, okay, you know, that's what that means. He went through 32 of those 1, 2, 3, 4s, which translated into music, sounds, you know, like music. But learning that and the BPM, which is gonna be like how fast it's going. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? So that's more like 120 and up type thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just being able to learn, hear, and know. I know the metronome is like a good tool on some DAWs that you may use. FL has one. Again, I can't really speak for anywhere else. FL is like my main powerhouse, but I'm sure these things correlate and can be spread amongst everywhere. Any other producers that watch, that's you on Logic or you on Ableton, you know, don't be scared. Hop in the chat. Let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong on anything like that. But yeah, metronomes are great to help you learn that too. Trying to think here. Okay, so that being the case, say you played around, you understand what bars are, right? So now what you want to do is you want to take that play around, that violin melody that you made, that piano melody that you made, and combine it with the bars, right? This is gonna take it where your melody is just something out there to where you now have a structured melody, you have a structured sound. And with structured sound, you're able to build, right? You're able to build out your song, you're able to build out where it goes, you're able to go into transitions, you're able to do all of these things because you have structure. When you don't have structure, it's, for me personally, what I went through, a lot more difficult, right? You know, I'm sure there's people out there who are able to fly between the lines like that. But for me, structure was it. And so what I want you to do is make a 4-bar melody. So 4 of those 1, 2, 3, 4s. And you should be able to see it on your DAW. I'll put a little picture in this video to kind of represent to you what that looks like. But make a 4-bar melody, right? And what you're wanting it to do is to be between each bar. So say you did a piano, right? And you have one note you play for the first 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have a second note, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a third note, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just have them drag out to like last that entire bar. Just to keep it super simple, right? For an example. But you want things to be within the lines of those bars. And just do 4. And what you'll hear things just like hits on time every time, you know. Of course, going in between those lines, yes, is an art and is a part of music, but for beginning, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just stay in those lines. Stay in the framework, you know what I'm saying? It'll make it where you can learn 10 times faster. The next thing for that, when you have your piano melody or whatever, is drums. I recommend that too. I say that just because this was like a hard part for me, because I didn't understand drums, right? It just didn't work in my head. So once I learned, I was like, oh snap, like Now it makes sense. Now I can throw some drums on anything. You know, it's easy. It's because everything has a code, right? So like anything below like 100 BPM, say we're starting with the snare, right? Anything under 100 BPM, the snare is usually, and most commonly in most styles of music, right, at least in today's age, is gonna hit on the second, so the 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, it's gonna hit on those. 100 and above, it does the third and the 7. A little bit more complex, so just stay the 2 and 4, right? Which again, on your dial, it's gonna be your first group. You'll hit your snare at the beginning of your second group. Your third group, you'll hit your snare on the beginning of the fourth group. Boom, you have snare set, right? Next, drums are a little bit more flexible, so you can be like really almost anywhere, right? You can be like boom, 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 tss, boom, 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 tss, boom. You can do whatever. For the most part, you know, I recommend a little bit of spacing. That's the best. Right before or right after snares, perfect. You know, so play around, explore, experiment. But yeah, like drums or the kick doesn't really have too much of a code to it. Snare does, right? Hi-hats, same thing, bro. Go crazy. Don't go too crazy, you know what I'm saying? Space sometimes is a great thing. Not doing too much is a great place to learn from. Then also at the same time, going completely crazy is a great place to learn from too, because you get both sides. But with hi-hats, it's the same thing. It's like you can do whatever. Like, you know, you've heard those rips in songs. So yeah, that's it for this section. Play around, learn bars and BPM, take your play around and your bars knowledge, combine it, and make something that fits within a bar. 4 bars, 8 bars. Usually it makes for like drum patterns. I usually only do 4 bars. For melodies, at max I'll go to 8 bars. It varies, but I recommend just 4 bar everything. 4 bar everything and make slight changes, right? Slight change. If you're trying to get to the end of a song, 4 bars, slight changes, you know, slight transitions, get rid of the drum, you know, switch the melody, things like that. Play around, BPM bars, put it all together, and you're gonna be like, whoa, I'm making something, I'm learning, right? So good luck to you. On to the next. Next up is going to be where you're getting your sounds from. Okay, this is like a super important part for what your song is going to sound like, and the mixing and mastering process, and just the overall structure of it too. You know, being able to find things that fit in like the same range, like they sound good together, right? And it's hard. Whenever I first started, like, I was on like Reddit pages and like clicking random Safari links and, you know, just getting these random sounds. But like I quickly realized the little thing on the side of FL where it has like all those drums or whatever, and like I'd pull over my files. I was like, nah, this is dead. Like I don't like this. These sounds are kind of butt. Some of them wouldn't work. I was like, nah, this isn't it, right? So just kind of like how getting your DAW is an initial investment, this is too. And the main thing that I use to find sounds, and there's plenty of places, right, on the internet, but the main place that I use is Splice. No promotion here at all, just simply being honest, and it's because I love this place. They have like all the drums you could ever think of for any genre. They have vocal loops, they have instrument loops, and it's not a bad price. It's like $25 a month, and it's easy, bro. You just save it like locally to your device, and then just drag and drop, put it in your channel rack, boom, like you have drums and you can play around. I know there's other places too, like Arcade is one, And I know there's like maybe some good websites on the internet. I don't know as much. I fell into Splice, and again, just like FL, I just haven't left yet. It does have its own limitations, but like you can see that further down the road. And then there's like free plugins too. Like there's instrument plugins, at least, just because FL is kind of like, I don't know how the other ones are, but FL is like very like EDM or kind of like techno sounds. It's very like, it's not necessarily hip hop per se, and it's not, don't got like a lot of guitars. It doesn't have like, it has a piano, but pretty basic piano, you know, there's things like that. So I do recommend for like instrumentation, violins, things like that. They have Citrus on FL, which is pretty solid for some instruments. But yeah, there's things like Native Instruments, Contact 7 and Contact 8. They have some pretty fire sounds on there. There's free plugins. I have a free plugin for a like almost like reverb, like cold piano. I have one for a guitar. So there's plugins out there that are free that can give you like some solid instruments. So, you know, look for those. Splice isn't the best when it comes to you wanted to have an instrument that you actually sit there and play type thing and make your own melody, but it's good for loops. It's good for your drums. It's good for sound effects. It's good for like risers, things of that nature, which I think is like super duper helpful. And again, it helps along the way. A lot of these sounds from like Splice, they're already like pre-mixed and mastered, so it's gonna make your stages moving forward simple, right? You don't have to do too much because those are already like production level sound. There's other artists who are creating those sounds, doing all that work, and then giving it out for people to use, right? Hence why I love Splice. That was literally like a game changer for me in Splice when it came to mixing and mastering. So I was like, yo, I don't have to overly compress this drum because it's already a mixed and master drum. Other things that you'll find from like Reddit links and things like that are naturally on FL, they're not. So you have to do more work. And mixing and mastering is already a crazy mad process, right? So being able to find good quality sounds through Splice or free plugins, wherever you can go to find things that you like and you enjoy and that you can experiment with, is crucial for your next step in making your first beat, your first song, and even after that, you know. And the better sound you can find, the quicker you're gonna be able to fine tune your ear to be like, oh, nah, this sounds good. This sounds good. Or you'd be like, nah, like maybe that snare doesn't sound good with this. You know, like the more sounds you can open yourself up to, the like bigger vault you have to pull from. And you know, so yeah, find those good sounds. Again, I recommend Splice, but let's go on to the next part of making your first beat. All right, on to probably the biggest part of this entire thing, which in reality, I guess all pieces are pretty freaking big, you know, but mixing and mastering. With this, so let's say it's gonna take a few days, by all means, you know, don't expect to watch this video and be like, boom, first beat, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a progress of learning your DAW, playing around, learning bars and BPM, finding good sounds, making a song or making a beat, making something, no matter how long, who cares, right? Your point here is you're trying to learn to be able to express, make art, and make stuff that you like that you can show your friends, right? It's the ultimate goal of all of this. So take it step by step. Don't worry, don't rush. You're doing amazing, and everything happens in perfect timing, right? Let's keep going. But let's say you went through all of that, and now you're at a point, you have a song, you have something you like, but you want to be able to play it in the car with your friends. You want to be like, yo, check out what I made, bro. Like, play it in the car, just like you would any other song that you love, right? And the process of that is called mixing and mastering. And what this is you're gonna take all of the sounds that you have on a song and get them to sound good, level them out, glue them together, and raise them up, right? In the simplest way possible. And I think the best way for me to do this, one is number one, and what I learned way down the road and I didn't know, is that wherever you get your sounds from, think about it, research about it, whatever. Are these sounds already mixed and mastered? If they are, you don't have to go through such a lengthy process to mix and master your stuff. It's already decently good. If it's not, then boom, you have to do a little bit more work, and that's okay, right? But knowing makes all the difference. All the difference, man. I kept burying so many sounds because I thought everywhere I got sounds from needed to be compressed and really hard EQ'd. All these different things, and they didn't. So, number one, wherever you get your sounds from, ask yourself, are they already pre-mixed and mastered or not? And then you know where you're gonna go. But my process for this is, first and foremost, go through anything you're not using within your song, delete it. Get it out of there, delete it, make space. Because these things take up CPU, takes up power within your song, and you don't want it to get laggy, right? So get rid of anything you're not using. Go through and label everything. Label everything in your channel rack, kick, drum, guitar 1, guitar 2, piano, transition, whatever. Label it all for FL users, and again, I'm sure this correlates with other things. For my patterns, I'll do like drum pattern 1, drum pattern 2, drum pattern 3, and I'll try to put some slide pictures in here too to kind of show you what I mean. But go through, label everything so you know what you're looking at, you know what you're listening for, you know what is what. It's gonna make a difference when you're looking at this picture. Mixing and mastering is slightly a different hat that you wear than producing, right? You gotta really like dive into what you're hearing. And once you got your channel rack labeled, your patterns labeled, throw it all in the mixer, but put it into groups. All of your melody sounds, group. All of your kick sounds, group. Your transitions and sound effects, group. Your vocal, group. Go through, again, relabel everything in the mixer, put them all next to each other, color code it. Again, I'll drop a picture in here so y'all can kind of see what I'm talking about. Color code it, boom. That is step one of mixing and mastering. It's just simply organizing your song, your track. Get it all set up. It's like almost preparing for a test, I guess. It's a weird metaphor, but you know what I'm saying? And then after you do that, there's different ways to go about it. What I usually do is I'll start at the front of my song and I'll play my way through. And as I play through, I'll mix. And I'll, fade out or use the faders to kind of judge where I want that sound to be in the song. So let's say we start with our first sound. The ultimate goal of mixing is taking out any sounds in that sound that you necessarily don't want and boosting things that you do want. So say you have a guitar strum and like the middle of the guitar strum is like sounding really good. You don't necessarily want as much of the high, and you don't necessarily want as much of the low, right? So those would be the two things that you EQ. Now, whenever you're EQing, I keep it like dumb simple, right? Never go above 3 dB or negative 3 dB. Keep it within that range. You go too high, it's gonna start messing with sounds. And another mistake that I used to make, and maybe other people do this. Again, I'm not a professional, right? I'm just telling you exactly where I am, what I've learned in the past, I think almost 2 years now making beats. What it takes, or what I've done and what I've learned. So don't like hold everything I say to the highest of highs, right? I'm just trying to help you get to your first song and your first beat. But usually whenever you're mixing something, say it's not already a pre-mixed sound, right? And you're having to start from scratch. You're gonna start with your EQ, and you can do, it's called, I think, a subtractive EQ. So take out just a little bit of the sound you don't want. I rarely ever do like the low shelf or the high shelf anymore. I just stopped doing that completely. I let it breathe, but I just lower the sounds that I don't want, right? Next after that is usually compression. So you're taking that sound that you just kind of got rid of some sound in it, and you're squeezing it to get the rest of that sound that you want. Compression is a little hard. I still don't fully understand compression. I definitely recommend asking ChatGPT, looking it up online, watching a video on compression, things like that, to maybe learn a little bit more about it. And I'll leave that to you to watch a video. Again, I'm not necessarily going to guide you on that part because I'm still learning myself. But the next step is generally to compress that sound, right? Compress it and like turn it back up a little bit with the gain stage. And then from there, you have this sound and you compress it. You can do another EQ from that compressed sound, again, add what you want to hear more of, just slightly, nothing crazy. Add what you want to hear more of. And then you can throw some reverb on there or some saturation, slightly. Always be like, really slim with things, unless you're meaning to be intentional, right? Unless you're wanting an echo, unless you're wanting like a really warm sound from the saturation. Be like really easy. You can tell too while you're playing with it. You'll be like, oh no, that sounds crazy with like max saturation. You know what I'm saying? So be easy. I think that's really important for all of these steps. Is be easy. Don't overdo it. And then throw a limiter on that thing. A limiter essentially is gonna be like you're able to like put a ceiling. You're like, no sound, you can't go above this, which I usually do -2B while I'm in the mixing phase. You can't go above this, and then you turn that sound wherever it's at all the way right below that line. So it's not really clipping, but it's like touching it, right? And then you can download things like there's like free LUF meters that you can get for plugins to attach to that mixer channel and like look at the sound, see how loud it is, because that is important in your overall. But I recommend do that. Once you use that limiter, you're gonna be pretty much there, right? If you don't cross that line, don't go overly crazy, but go right up to that line, you should be good, right? Give or take. You'll be able to hear in your headphones. And go through, do that with every single instrument. Now, if it's already a mixed and mastered sound, all I do is I throw an EQ on there. I will boost maybe a part or two, subtract maybe a part or two, limiter, raise it up. That's it. That is it. And as I'm listening to the song, as it plays, and I'm mixing the sounds, I use the faders to be like, because essentially it's saying like, do you want this sound to be front of class, like he the teacher? Or you want him to be like more like third row, all the way in the back? You know what I'm saying? The fader is kind of like for that. And so it's like being able to determine like, I usually put my melodies, they sit back just a little bit, right? I put my drums, they're pretty far up front. And then like my drums and my vocals kind of like, they kind of like work together. Sometimes my vocals a little higher depending on the vocals, sometimes a little lower than the drums, depending on what you're going for. But generally the idea. And then like sound effects are like I just made a song and like I got some like background bongos, bro. Like they're like down a lot. And again, as you're listening, you can hear them. But think of it as like, again, front row, back row. Where do you want them? I know it says volume, at least on FL. I don't know if it's necessarily volume, but front row, back row. Once you go through, there's little things you can do. So usually after I go through, I mix all my sounds, I use the fader, everything sounded like pretty decent in my headphones. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I think everything's sitting pretty good. The next is panning. And panning is like, be super duper easy on the panning. Don't go too crazy. I know there's like, I remember looking at like a cheat sheet for panning one time or something like that. And yeah, I'm still learning panning myself, but I usually keep it pretty light. And all panning is like, I want my vocal, my drum, my vocals and my drum like dead center. Like I'm talking directly to you, right? Like me, my vocal and my kick coming right to you. Then I want like the hi-hat like a little bit over here, like so what panning does as you space it, because it can go either right or left, right? What it does is it separates it from that center sound, so you can kind of hear and identify it a little bit better. So if used right, it can make something beautiful. You can make your trumpet like stand out, not too much. You don't want to do too much because it'll stand out too much, but it'll stand out just enough to where he's peeking through, and it works, right? So be really subtle with panning. I usually like just barely. I think at max 20%, on a sound at max. For me personally, again, people have different standards. There's different standards out there. Just telling you how I've been rocking with it, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Go through, organize, EQ, compression, EQ again, saturation or reverb if you need it, post limiter, and then use the fader to drop it into the sound. Do that for all of them. Slight panning. You have officially mixed a song, right? Sure, there's a billion ways to mix it. I'm sure there's people who tell me like this mixing process is wrong. Whatever. Music's subjective. Mixing, mastering is subjective. Sound is subjective. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna learn more as I go. One day maybe I'll look back and be like, this advice is crazy. But for now, it's what's been working for me. And I'm just trying to make something that could potentially work for you too. So yeah, let's move on to mastering. All right, so another quick tip that I forgot with the mixing process is on the mastered channel itself, you're gonna wanna put a limiter on there as well. And just set the ceiling down to -2 dB as well. And what this is gonna do is just make sure, of course, we put it on every single instrument to make sure it's not peaking anywhere. We put it on the master track to make sure it's not peaking anywhere. Just to make, whenever you go into the mastering process and you raise everything else up a little bit more, you're not gonna have any random peaking sounds for the most part, right? So last little tip trick for mixing there. And on to mastering. What you're gonna do is take that song you just made, you're gonna save it, export it as a wave, and open a brand new template and drop your song in there. And we're gonna go through a similar process with the mastering, but this time it's gonna be over the entire track instead of individual instruments. So you're gonna assign it to a mixer channel and start with the EQ. You do a little bit of addition or subtraction in any areas that you feel are necessary. Again, very slight, no crazy big adjustments, just very slight, 3 dB to -3 dB max, right? And then you're gonna compress that sound. Usually here I go a little easier on the compression. On the FL's compressor, it has like a hard or medium setting. I usually do medium, and then kind of have it hit not as fast, but a little fast on the attack, and then the release a little longer, so it kind of hits and then glides off, right? After that, again, it could be another EQ if you think you need it, saturation on there to make the entire thing a little warmer. I usually don't do any type of reverb right here just because it's the entire track. I try to do reverb on things that are individual instruments or sounds. And then again, another limiter. This time I usually set the ceiling around 1 dB, right? And then I'll raise the sound ever so slightly to get right there up at the line, and then put I use YDR Kolenkov, something like that. It's a free plugin that you can use to like check your LUFS meters. And LUFS is essentially, it's like dB. I don't know exactly what it stands for, but it's the loudness of your track. And for a lot of streaming services, your integrated LUFS needs to be at -14, or it could be like -12, whatever. But that LUFS meter is also going to have a option on there that's going to check if your song is peaking at all. And you want to be right on 0 or 1, right? I think 0 is like pushing it, but 1 is definitely a safe space, so it's not peaking, you don't have any loud sounds. And then once you do all of that, listen in your headphones, it's sounding good, you're gonna save, export again, and then go listen to that song on absolutely everything that you have, your AirPods or your Beats, or in your car, on your phone. And you're just gonna listen to see, all right, is anything too far forward? Is anything too far back? Or, is everything kind of like meshing well together? It really all depends on like how your song is and how you structured it. Structure is going to be a really, really big thing whenever it comes to listening to your master track. Because if you have like a lot of instruments that are in the same frequency range and you're playing them like all at once, sometimes it's gonna sound really muddy. And muddy is mean like there's a lot going on in that one area. Sometimes ways to fix that is, making that decision to, hey, maybe get rid of that instrument, or a little bit better of panning to kind of widen them out, get them not as close to each other, can help that too. Still kind of learning the mixing and mastering process myself, but and then once you listen to it, my main place that I go to is the car to really determine and hear what could be wrong. Like I have a song I just did and I was like, man, the trumpet is like, now that I hear it here, it's a little too far back, like I need to move it up some. And so if you recognize a problem, just go back to your original mix, make the adjustments, save, export, put it back in the master, assign it to that channel rack again where you just put all those plugins, the EQ and everything. Listen, if it sounds a little bit better, a little bit different, whatever, save, export, go listen to your car again. And that's essentially the process. It's especially in the beginning, it's a lot of like little tweaks, and depending on where you get your instruments from, it's going to be a lot of little tweaks, a lot of little boosts here, or move forwards, or just different things like that you're going to run into. It gets kind of frustrating and almost sometimes a little discouraging, and it gets hard too, because if you're full producing, you've gone from your first drum pattern to a finished song to listening to each individual instrument over and over. And so by the time you're at like listening to the car process, you're like, dude, I don't even know if I like this song anymore. I don't even know if it sounds good, whatever. And good process to keep is just keep going forward. Give your ears time to rest, to feel it in a new area, in a new mood. That project at some point will click with you, or it'll hit different, and you'll be like, okay, cool. But stay hopeful and don't over critique yourself, especially if like you're first starting, or even if you're a little bit towards where I am now, is don't over critique yourself. Like, yes, care, but you don't need 20 masters, to make your one song right. Like, It's just a huge waste of time. So, you know, do the best that you can. Make the little tweaks that you need. And then let your motivation and your thing to move forward being the next project. Like, love, appreciate what you just did. And then like, all right, well, let's go make another one and another one. Because that's what's going to give you the progress in general anyway. From any stage of that motivation and that continuation of like pushing through is what's going to do it every time. And build your foundation as a producer or as an artist. And so yeah, I definitely wish you the best of luck. It's a process sometimes. It definitely takes a bunch of dedication and commitment and positivity, and you're gonna go through a whole bunch of this on any stage of this process that you're at. You're gonna go through a bunch of it, right? You're gonna doubt yourself. You're gonna not know if you can make it. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna be frustrated because you just can't seem to make something good, and you're looking at all these other people who can make good stuff, and it gets to be a lot. But just know that even no matter where you are on your stage, if it's your first time ever opening FL, if it's your first time trying to make a full song, if you're just now learning how to do drum patterns, or if you're all the way to the mastering stage, every single person in every single one of those stages, from me and up, so your favorite artist ever, we all go through this, man. And I think it's just a part of the artistic journey, and what makes this so special and so real is because it takes a lot of bravery and courage to do it in the first place. With that bravery and courage, there is a lot of doubt and a lot of self-questioning, but it's a balance of the art, and it's what shows in your music. So don't be scared to go through those times. It's okay, you know, question things, go through those moments. You're gonna end up out on the other side with a dope track, more knowledge than you had, and slowly building that artist foundation. So I'm proud of anybody who is going down this journey. It's a super cool journey, especially when you get to the point where you can show your friends and things like that. It's super exciting. And even if your friends don't fully react to it, fuck them. I'm proud of you. I'm excited for you for going that far. And yeah, just keep doing your thing, yo. But let's move into the outro. All right, yo. So that's it. That is how to make a beat, give or take, I want to say formatically. I don't know if that's a word, but that's the format to or the structure to go from zero to making your first beat ever, fully produced by you, which is the dope part, right? So I hope somewhere along this line you found some gems. Anybody who wants to critique, add on more things, whatever, drop it in the comments. I've seen a big struggle for me, and it's probably different for everybody's journey. Is whenever I was starting, bro, it's so hard to just find someone that could just yo, tell me what to do. And I mean, probably for the right reason, right? A lot of it is you do need to figure it out yourself, right? But I want to be like a little flame, a little light to your fire, to help out, to help guide you a little bit. Not all of my videos are gonna be like this. I'm not gonna be just beats, or anything like that. I'm an artist. I make songs, I make beats. I fully produce and everything myself. But for one of my first videos coming out, or one of my main intentional videos coming out on YouTube, I thought this was super special and super important, and that people could learn from it and grow from it. And man, that's the entire idea of not only this page, but of me and my music. And it's just growth and development and positivity, a shoulder to lean on whenever you're struggling, or whenever you're doubting, or whenever you're going through things. That's just the forefront of who I am and what I want to do. I know I evolve, and there's a lot of different parts for me. You can listen to anything I'm dropping, you can be like, dang, bro, why is this all different, right? And it's because I don't care about a lane, bro. I don't care, right? What I care about is being genuine, being real, and putting my best foot forward and trying to give my best to others. You know, that's just a part of being an artist. So anybody who's made it this far, yo, I freaking appreciate the heck out of you. And if you're watching this just to watch it, just for whatever, what's up, yo? And if you're watching it because you're trying to learn how to make beats, then bro, keep going. I promise. Like I said, I'm only like just about 2 years in this, right? And I got to a point where I could drop my first song ever, right? Spotify, everywhere, ever, in that time frame. And it wasn't I didn't wake up every single day, you know, going crazy on the beats. Like, I had a life outside of that too. 2 jobs, a girlfriend, family, you know what I'm saying? All this other stuff. So it's a balance, you know, just balance it, but just be consistent, you know what I'm saying? For me, and the reason I ever even started to pursue music is because since like 13, bro, like music and like rapping and like all of this stuff has just been knocking at my head. And if you're in the same boat and you have something knocking and it won't go away, chase it, pursue it, you know, no matter what it takes. But yeah, for anybody looking for a little bit behind the scenes, is what I was trying to say, a little bit more behind the scenes, I just started a Patreon, which I'm gonna be dropping more and more stuff there of kind of like my processes of making beats and making songs and just coming up with ideas, different things like that. But for now, what I've recently dropped is just kind of some of like the older sounding beats I would make. And in there you'll see like none of them are mixed and mastered, right? I didn't have that figured out. You'll kind of see like what melodies I was working with. And back then, like before I even started using Splice Heavy, like I was doing it by hand type thing for the most part. I didn't use a snare for the longest, right? And I was just doing weird stuff. I was just playing around. So for anybody looking for a little bit more insight on like comparison, to be like, well, this is what my stuff sounds like right now, and like, well, this is what his stuff sounds like, and like, yo, we're kind of in the same spot. And like, if so, then like you're on the right path. And I know regardless, excluding comparison, you're on the right path. Like, you're doing the right thing just by pursuing something, chasing a dream, and trying to live the best life that you can. You are 1,000 steps ahead of anybody you know around you right now, you know, just by doing that. So again, I'm proud of you. Patreon, I'm gonna have a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Bandcamp, dropping songs, but mainly like my main songs are on Spotify or anywhere else. But I created my Bandcamp for anybody who ever reaches the commitment level where they're like, yo, I love what you're doing, I love who you are, I love your music, and you know, I just simply want to support, because I don't really know anybody who uses Bandcamp like that to listen to music, but just to support. So I have a lot of options, you know, going on currently within the community. I made a Discord too, so people can chill, hang out, talk about music or gaming or business or like whatever, you know, and I'll be on top of it. Don't worry about no like bot or rude people being in there. We will get them out. But yeah, so just doing a lot of things to bring more of this energy forward and build a community. So if you're interested in that, you know, like, subscribe, follow me on any of my social medias, hop in the Discord chat, you know, whatever. I'm here, I'm open, and we're growing together. You know, I'm not perfect, I'm not a professional. I've said that multiple times. I'm not a professional, but I do care about my art, and I do love making music, and you know, I love being here for people. So that's what we're doing moving forward. And yeah, you know, keep an eye out for more videos. I can't tell you exactly what they'll be, but I know if I'm on here speaking for 30 plus minutes, it's something intentional, something meaningful, and something I care about. So, you know, stay tuned, and I appreciate y'all. Have a good day.